The communication hub aboard Station Alpha buzzed with urgency as another incoming message arrived. Commander Blake stood silently, watching as the holographic projector flared to life, revealing the pale blue face of Ambassador Vale from the Galactic Coalition. Normally composed, the ambassador's expression was uncharacteristically grim, tinged with something Blake hadn't seen before. Raw desperation. "Commander Blake, we must speak immediately," Vale began, his voice echoing across the vastness of interstellar space. "The situation has become critical." Blake sat upright, sensing the weight behind the words. In the 3 years since Earth had joined the Coalition, there had been countless calls for support, but nothing had ever sounded like this. "Go ahead, Ambassador. What's the emergency?" The image shifted to display a star map, several systems highlighted in ominous red. "The Vani system is under siege. The Krex Empire has launched a full-scale invasion. Our projections give the Volani less than 2 weeks before total collapse." Blake leaned closer, eyes narrowing on the map. The Volani were known across the galaxy for their art and agriculture, not warfare. They had no army, no defenses, nothing to stop a determined enemy. "What about Coalition military assets?" Blake asked. "Surely there's something we can send." Vale's face grew darker. "Our fleets are tied up on 4 active fronts. The Krex timed this perfectly. They knew we couldn't divert forces." He hesitated, then added, "That's why we're reaching out. To Earth." Blake frowned. The Coalition often regarded humanity as junior partners, brave but inexperienced. Their navy was modern but small, and their tactics unorthodox. To be approached now for a major crisis raised questions. "Tell me about the Krex." The display morphed again, now showing hulking armored beings with claws and eyes that glinted like a predator's. "The Krex Empire has conquered 17 systems in the past 50 years. They're ruthless, technologically advanced, and tactical masterminds. They don't take prisoners. They take slaves. Every resistance is crushed swiftly." Blake watched footage of Krex warships raising peaceful colonies, merciless, calculated devastation. "How many ships have entered Vani space?" "Current intelligence reports 50 vessels, multiple classes. Their flagship is a heavily armed battle cruiser led by General Vash, one of their top commanders. The Vani have sent distress calls, but—" Vale trailed off. "But you think it's already too late," Blake finished grimly. "The math doesn't lie. A handful of reinforcements against 50 Krex warships? The losses would be catastrophic, and the Krex knew exactly where to strike. 3 unarmed, research-focused worlds. No defenses, no protection." Blake stood, crossing the room to the panoramic window. Earth's orbital shipyards loomed in the distance, where a fleet of human vessels moved in and out, preparing for patrol or returning from missions. The fleet had grown since Earth joined the Coalition, but compared to other member races, it was modest. "What are you asking of us, Ambassador?" "We're requesting whatever forces Earth can deploy. We know it's asking a lot. Your ships aren't built for large-scale war, and your crews lack experience in extended engagements. But if no one steps in, the Volani will be erased," Blake considered. Vale wasn't wrong. Human vessels were different. Coalition navies relied on size and firepower. Earth had invested in speed, stealth, and adaptability. "I'll speak with Earth Command. Expect a response in 6 hours. Please understand," Vale added, "with every passing hour, more Volani die. Their fields are being bombed to ash. Their scientists taken or executed. We're watching a culture vanish while we debate logistics." The transmission cut off. Alone with his thoughts, Blake opened a secure line to Earth's United Defense Command in Geneva. The call connected within minutes, revealing the face of Admiral Kane, a veteran of Earth's final wars before unification, his face worn but eyes sharp. "I saw the Coalition's request," Kane said without preamble. "What's your take?" "It's as bad as they say. The Vani have no defenses, and the Krex came prepared. Coalition forces are tied up. It's a massacre in progress. Kane nodded grimly. And they want us to send our fleet into a hopeless fight to ease their guilt? That seems to be the implication, sir. But I believe Vale's genuinely worried. Vale's a good man, Kane admitted. But he thinks like a coalition officer. Big fleets, big guns, direct battles. That's not how we operate. Blake stayed quiet. Kane was thinking, strategizing. Send a message to Vale, Kane said at last. Tell him Earth will help the Volani. Blake raised an eyebrow. What ships are we sending? Kane smiled, a rare, dangerous expression. One. Blake blinked. Sir? One ship. That's all. 1 against 50? Blake couldn't hide his shock. That's not just risky, it's suicide. Only if we fight like they expect, Kane said. Coalition strategy assumes scale equals power. But what if we use precision instead? Realization dawned. You're sending the Reaper. Kane's smile widened. The Reaper departs in 12 hours. Captain Ross has been briefed. The Volani will receive help. Our kind of help. Blake felt a chill. The Reaper was Earth's most secret project. A prototype warship based on stealth, speed, and first strike efficiency. Built around concepts no other species had even imagined. If it works, Blake said quietly, we save the Volani. If not, the galaxy watches us fail, Kane said, serious again. Tell Vale we're sending our finest ship and our best crew. But don't tell him how we plan to fight. Some tactics are better shown, not explained. As the channel closed, Blake remained still. One ship, against impossible odds. But humanity had a history of doing the impossible. The Coalition war room aboard Station Alpha was quiet, but tense. Admiral Kane's message played for the third time. One ship? Ambassador Vale repeated, blue skin shaded darker with stress. They're sending one ship? General Torres from the Altarian Defense Force reacted first, his double-jointed arms raised in disbelief. The humans are sending one ship against 50 Krex vessels? Vale nodded, voice subdued. Admiral Kane confirmed it personally. The vessel is called the Reaper. It departs for Vanny space within hours. Commander Nix, senior tactical officer, pulled up the latest data on Earth's fleet. Human ships are small by our standards. Even their largest carry no more than 40. Crew, how could such a ship matter? Maybe it's a symbolic gesture, suggested Captain Oral of the El Kari. His species revered honorable death. A final charge to buy the Volani time to evacuate. Vale shook his head. I spoke to Kane directly. He was confident, not desperate. He said the Vani would be protected, not avenged. General Torres laughed. An unkind, mechanical sound. Protected? With one human ship? Either Kane has gone mad or... 3 systems away, Captain Ross paced the shadowed corridors of the UES Reaper, performing what could be his final inspection. Unlike the polished, luminous Coalition cruisers with their elaborate hulls, the Reaper was angular, matte black, and seemed to consume light rather than reflect it. Final systems check, Lieutenant Park, Ross said as he entered tactical. Park looked up from her console, her expression composed but intense. All stealth systems operational, Captain. Quantum field generators stable, weapons armed. Ross gave a curt nod and continued to engineering, where Chief Murphy was elbow-deep in the ship's most sensitive systems. How's our ghost protocol, Chief? Murphy grinned. Grease smeared across his hands and forearms. Best it's ever been, Captain. We'll stay invisible for weeks if we need to. Quantum processors are purring. And the weapons? Plasma railguns tuned for max penetration. Quantum torpedoes prepped and hot. If we get in close, we'll punch through anything the Krex call armor. Ross left Murphy to his work and stepped onto the bridge. 30 specialists turned toward him, everyone handpicked for mastery in stealth ops, precision strikes, and silent running. Not the largest crew in Earth's fleet, but the most lethal. Listen up, Ross said, voice firm. In 6 hours, we drop out of hyperspace at the... edge of the Vanny system. Intel says 50 Krex ships are blockading the inhabited planets. Our job is clear. Eliminate the threat and save the Volani. Navigator Chen raised her hand. Captain, how do we engage 50 ships and survive? Ross gave her a thin smile, the same one Admiral Kane had worn earlier. We won't engage 50 ships, Chen. We'll engage one ship. 50 times. Uneasy glances were exchanged. Training had prepared them for asymmetric combat, but never odds this steep. Yet they trusted Ross, and the Reaper had never failed. Back on Station Alpha, Ambassador Vale received a desperate transmission from Vani Prime. The image flickered. Dr. Keela, the Vani senior scientist, spoke from an underground shelter. Ambassador Vale, the Krex have destroyed our orbital farms. Surface bombardments have begun. We are defenseless. In 10 days, extinction is certain. The translator struggled to convey the trembling emotion in her voice. The Vani had no weapons, no tactics. They had joined the coalition believing their peaceful nature and agricultural value would protect them. They were wrong. Help is on the way, Vale said softly. Earth has dispatched a warship. One ship? Dr. Keela's hope faded. We detect 50 Krex vessels. How can one ship save us? Vale hesitated. Humans fight differently. We must trust them. After the call ended, Vale contacted Coalition Command. Fleet Admiral Zorn appeared, his scaled features brimming with irritation. I've reviewed Earth's response, Zorn said. Sending a single ship is either suicidal or foolish. Perhaps they've developed new technology, Vale offered. Unlikely, Zorn snorted. Coalition observers have studied Earth shipyards. Their vessels are small, underarmed. They prioritize speed and evasion over firepower. He pulled up a display of the Vanny system. The Krex fleet is well positioned. Their flagship, the Dominator, commands overlapping fields of fire. General Vash is undefeated. Even 10 ships would fail. Vale scanned the display. The blockade was a fortress. Any attacker would be shredded from multiple vectors. Could we send even a token force? Zorn shook his head. And lose more ships for nothing? No. Military logic must prevail. The human vessel will be destroyed within minutes. As the screen went dark, Vale felt a knot of despair. The Coalition had abandoned the Vanny, and Earth's lone ship would soon join them in ruin. Still, he searched Earth's restricted files. Details on the Reaper were scarce. But what he found intrigued him. Human warships favored silence over strength, precision over mass. Not built for brute combat, but for ghost warfare. Vale had fought in 2 wars. He recognized the signs, a species that had learned to survive through necessity. Maybe Admiral Kane wasn't mad. Maybe Earth remembered something the Coalition had forgotten. As the Reaper entered hyperspace, Vale sent a final message to Dr. Kella, voice steadier this time. Doctor, hold fast. The ship coming may be small, but I believe it carries something the Krex have never encountered. Human military thinking. The coming days would reveal whether Vale's belief was well placed, or if the galaxy was about to witness Earth's most tragic failure. At the edge of the Vanny system, the UES Reaper dropped out of hyperspace, a lone shadow adrift in the dark. Ross studied the tactical display, 50 red markers encircling 3 blue planets. The Krex blockade. Passive sensors only, he ordered. Full picture before we move. Lieutenant Park scanned the data. 3 defensive groups. 20 ships at Vanny Prime, 15 at Vanny 2, and 15 securing supply lines. Perfect, Ross said quietly. They've built a fortress, Chen said. That's good? They're fighting the last war, Ross replied. Expecting a frontal assault. They don't know they're being hunted. Aboard the Dominator, General Vash reviewed sensor readings. Over 8 feet tall, clad in battle-hardened armor, his red eyes glowed with satisfaction. General, Major Kren said. Outer sensors detect a small vessel, likely disabled, human configuration. Vash sneered. One ship? The Coalition mocks us. Shall we investigate? Don't waste ammo, let it drift. Focus on the surface. I want this system pacified within the week. What the Krex missed was that the Reaper was far from helpless. Hidden sensors tracked every ship, locations, weapons, crew profiles, vulnerabilities. Sensor sweep complete, Park said. Their flagship is a heavy cruiser. The rest are standard destroyers and frigates. Ross nodded. Chief Murphy, status? All systems green, Captain. They think we're space junk. Ross stared at the display, analyzing. The Krex were disciplined, efficient, perfect for conventional war, but they weren't ready for what was coming. We start with their patrol ships, Ross said. One at a time, silent kills, then the inner groups. What if they spot us? Chen asked. Ross's voice was calm. Then we adapt. But if we do this right, they'll never know we were here. The Reaper slipped into the asteroid field, vanishing into shadow. The hunt had begun. Technology bent light and absorbed sensor signals, making it virtually invisible to conventional detection methods. Only the most advanced Coalition ships had similar capabilities, and the Krex had never encountered anything like it. Ross selected his first target, a Krex destroyer patrolling alone near the outer planets. The ship was positioned to watch for approaching Coalition fleets, but its crew was relaxed, confident in their overwhelming numerical advantage. Take us to attack position, Ross ordered. Weapons hot, but maintain stealth until I give. The command! The Reaper approached to within 2 kilometers of the enemy destroyer before Ross gave the signal. Fire! The plasma railgun discharged with a brilliant flash, sending a concentrated beam of superheated matter through the Krex ship's hull. The enemy vessel exploded in seconds, its crew never knowing what hit them. Target destroyed, Park reported. No distress signal transmitted? Good. Next target. The second Krex ship met the same fate 20 minutes later. Then, the third. Each attack was perfectly executed. The Reaper would appear from nowhere, destroy its target, and vanish before any other ships could respond. On the Dominator, General Vash was reviewing bombardment reports when Major Kren approached. With disturbing news. General, we've lost contact with 3 patrol ships in the outer system. Vash looked up from his reports. Equipment failure? Unknown, sir. They simply stopped responding. No distress signals, no indication of problems. Send a squadron to investigate. 4 Krex vessels moved toward the last known position of the missing patrol ships. They found nothing but debris fields where their comrades had been. General, the squadron leader reports, all 3 ships have been completely destroyed. Weapon signatures suggest high-energy plasma discharge, but we detect no enemy vessels in the area. Vash felt his first moment of concern. 3 ships destroyed without warning, without any sign of the attacker. This was not how space battles were supposed to work. Recall all outer patrols, tighten formation around the planets. But Ross had anticipated this move. As the Krex ships pulled back into defensive positions, they created exactly the opportunity he needed. They're bunching up, Park observed. Tighter formation, less maneuvering room. Perfect time for Phase 2. Ross studied the new enemy positions. Target their supply ships first, cut off their fuel and ammunition, and the whole fleet becomes vulnerable. The Reaper struck again, this time targeting a supply convoy moving between the main fleet and their base. 3 cargo vessels exploded in quick succession, their stored ammunition creating spectacular secondary explosions that lit up the darkness. This time, the Krex were ready. Sensors tracked the weapon signatures back to their source, revealing a small contact moving impossibly fast through the debris field. There! Major Kren shouted. Small vessel, bearing 27 Mark V. All ships, open fire! Dozens of energy beams converged on the Reaper's position, but the human ship was already gone. vanishing into the asteroid field like a ghost. General Vash stared at the tactical display in growing anger and confusion. What kind of ship can appear and disappear like that? Unknown, General Kren replied. It's using some form of advanced stealth technology. Our sensors can only track it when it fires its weapons. Vash realized he was facing something completely outside his experience. This was not a traditional fleet battle with predictable tactics and formations. This was something else entirely, a new kind of warfare that turned all his advantages into weaknesses. Send a message to Krek's command, Vash ordered. Tell them we need reinforcements immediately. We're fighting an enemy that doesn't follow the rules of conventional warfare. But as the message traveled across space, the Reaper continued its deadly work. 7 Krek's ships were already destroyed, and Captain Ross was just getting started. The hunter had revealed itself, and the prey was beginning to understand. They were not the predators they thought they were. General Vash paced the bridge of the Dominator like a caged animal, his red eyes fixed on the tactical display. In the past 6 hours, he had lost 12 ships to an enemy he couldn't see, couldn't predict, and couldn't fight using conventional tactics. Status report, he demanded from Major Kren. We've pulled all remaining ships into tight defensive formations around each planet. No vessel operates alone anymore. But General, Kren hesitated. The crews are becoming afraid. They call the human ship a ghost vessel, one that strikes from nowhere. Vash slammed his clawed fist onto the command console. There are no ghosts in space. It's one small ship with some kind of stealth technology. We will find it and destroy it. Unknown to the Krek's commander, the ghost ship was currently drifting silently through the massive asteroid field surrounding the system. Captain Ross studied the updated enemy positions with satisfaction. Fear is making the Krek's commanders predictable. They're grouping their ships closer together. Defensive formations around each planet, observed Lieutenant Park. Exactly what I hoped they would do. Scared enemies make tactical mistakes. Chief Murphy, how are our stealth systems holding up? Running at 95% efficiency, Captain. We can stay hidden for days if needed. The Krek's sensors are designed to track large fleets, not single ships using our technology. Ross nodded and turned to his tactical officer. Park, I want you to identify their command and control vessels. Every fleet has ships that coordinate communications and sensor data. If we eliminate those, their formations will become confused. Already. On it, Captain. I've identified 3 ships that seem to be acting as communication hubs for their fleet groupings. The Reaper began moving toward its next target, a heavily armed cruiser positioned to coordinate the defense of 2 planets. The ship was surrounded by 6 smaller vessels in a protective formation, but Ross had learned that even the best formations had weaknesses. On the targeted cruiser, Captain Drex was reviewing patrol reports when his sensor officer called out, an alarm. Sir, I'm detecting some kind of energy signature moving through the asteroid field. It's very faint, almost like background radiation. Drex studied his screens carefully. Could it be the stealth ship that's been attacking our forces? Possible, sir. The signature keeps appearing and disappearing. If it is a ship, it's using technology we've never encountered. Alert. All vessels in our formation. If that's the human ship, it's coming for us. But the Reaper was already in position. Ross had positioned his ship inside a large asteroid, using the rock as both cover and camouflage. The Krek's sensors detected nothing unusual about the asteroid, never suspecting it contained a predator waiting to strike. Target the cruiser's main communications array, Ross ordered. I want them blind and deaf before we eliminate them. The plasma railgun fired through a hole in the asteroid, the beam striking the Krek's cruiser's sensor array with perfect precision. Instantly, the ship lost contact with its escort vessels and the main fleet. Communications down, the Krek's sensor officer reported in panic. Captain Drex tried to maintain order. Emergency communications. Alert the fleet that we're under attack. But before the message could be sent, quantum torpedoes phased through the cruiser's armor and exploded inside the ship's reactor core. The vessel disappeared in a brilliant explosion that could be seen across the system. The 6 escort ships immediately began firing randomly into the asteroid field, their crews panicked by the sudden loss of their command vessel. But their weapons struck only empty space and floating rocks. The Reaper had already moved to its next hunting ground. General Vash received the news of another loss with growing fury and fear. 13 ships destroyed, and we haven't even damaged the enemy. How is this possible? Perhaps we should request additional reinforcements from the home fleet, Major Kren said carefully. I've already sent for reinforcements, Vash replied, but they won't arrive for 3 days. We need a new strategy now. Vash studied the tactical display, trying to think like his mysterious enemy. The human ship struck isolated targets, attacked communication hubs, and disappeared before retaliation was possible. It was fighting like a submarine rather than a space warship. New orders, Vash announced. All ships will move in groups of at least 4. No vessel operates alone. We'll create overlapping sensor nets that will detect any stealth ship, no matter how advanced. The Krex fleet began repositioning into smaller, tighter groups. It's exactly what Ross hoped they would do, Park reported. Smaller groups, but more of them. Perfect, Ross said with satisfaction. Smaller groups are easier to eliminate, and they're so focused on watching for us, they're not watching each other. The Reaper struck again, this time targeting a group of 4 ships that had separated from the main fleet. Using a tactic learned from ancient submarine warfare, Ross positioned his ship between 2 asteroid clusters and waited for his prey to come to him. The Krex ships moved through the asteroid field in tight formation, their sensors sweeping constantly for signs of the stealth ship. They never detected the Reaper sitting motionless in the shadow of a large rock. Multiple targets locked, Park reported. Quantum torpedoes ready. Fire all tubes. 8 quantum torpedoes launched simultaneously, each one programmed to phase through solid matter and explode inside a different target. 4. Krex ships exploded within seconds of each other, their crews never knowing they had sailed into a trap. 17 ships down, Park announced. 33 remaining.